State Senate recall elections get underway this Tuesday with the Democratic primary elections. In all, 6 Republican and 3 Democratic senators face recalls. The results from Tuesday's election will narrow down the field of challengers looking to take on the 6 Republicans facing recalls in a general election next month. This summer's recall elections stem from the senators' support of or opposition to Governor Scott Walker's controversial budget bill. Voter photo ID is now the law in Wisconsin, and starting next year, voters will be required to show a photo ID in order to receive a ballot and vote. While it's not in place just yet, the new law will still have an impact on this summer's recall elections. Tonight, we take a closer look at what's ahead for voters when they head to the polls.
The major impacts of the new voter photo ID bill, which is the main thing for today.
Ahead of Tuesday's primary recall elections, area poll workers are undergoing intense training with the passage of the new voter photo ID law. Poll workers are required to ask people for photo identification even though it's not mandatory yet.
If people don't have photo identification with them, then they're required to give them information on what they can bring for photo identification for next spring. So it's kind of like a little early run through to get people familiar with that process.
Voters will also see several other changes that are already in effect at the polls. First, you must sign the poll list before you are given a ballot to vote. Second, people now need to reside in the voting district for 28 days. Previous to the law, it was just 10 days. And third, anyone requesting an absentee ballot by mail needs to do that by the Thursday prior to the election. If somebody wants to vote in person, they need to do that by the Friday before the election.
We've had many that have come through in past elections that wanted to show their ID. So that's not, I don't think that's going to be a problem.
But Chief Election Inspector Dennis Graham says some of the other new rules will likely slow things down a bit.
Because, you know, you have to take time to sign your name, and that's another 2-3 seconds. If people are coming in at 10 to 8 and expect to get to work by 8 o'clock, and there's a line, they may not get to work by 8 o'clock. I'm really looking for patience from the voters.
Just how many voters will show up at the polls? Chief Deputy Brown County Clerk Sandy Juneau says turnout is hard to predict given the fact there is no history to look back on.
Probably a lot of it's going to depend on, how much the candidates are out there, soliciting, encouraging people to vote.
De Pere City Clerk Shar Peterson says she estimates a low turnout of 10 to 12% for the first recall election.
I'm trying to get a pulse on it by looking at how many have come in to vote absentee, and we've had just around 250 so far since last week Monday.
Now, both clerks say they anticipate some confusion among voters and add if you have questions, don't hesitate to contact your municipal or county clerk for help.